real worship, true worshipers, worship the Father out of their heart, out of sincerity. And then he says, the Father is looking for those who will worship him that way. Whatever is worth most to you, you worship. But also true is that when God isn't what is worth most to you, life is thrown into misalignment immediately. We just weren't made. We were not made to function with something else at the center of our world than God. We work against God's favor. He favors us. He's not out to get you. Scripture says he favors you and he believes in you. He has the strength to help you overcome this obstacle, this challenge that you've been battling for months or for years to beat or to defeat. God has the wisdom. He has the perfect timing. And when he's at the center, and we're allowing him to guide us and to really direct the outcome of our project at work, whether the layoff is going to happen, the outcome of our struggling marriage, our child who's giving us so much difficulty and we can't find the answer for it. And the list just goes on and on. When we allow God to guide and determine the outcome, life functions in order and properly. It doesn't mean everything becomes sweet and clean and there are no problems. It's that God works in those problems to build us and to make us who he intended us to be. God has in mind every single challenge that you and I are to face to redeem and build life into us and to make us who he meant us to be. Here is, I think, the crux of this whole series. I'm about to say it. Intentional worship. Intentional worship of God is how we make him first place in our lives. Intentionally worshiping God is how you make him first. Incidentally, intentional worship of God is how you make you second. In a few weeks, I'm going to talk about those instances where God actually intends us to be third. When he says, and love your neighbor as yourself. We'll get to that in a few weeks. I've seen it in myself at times. I opened up honestly about that in week 1. About sometimes, if I'm honest, God hasn't been first in my decisions, in my reactions to situations. I see when I just survey in my own observation our response, whether we're responding to God, the greatness of God, who he is, that he's for us, his timing is perfect, his wisdom is perfect. It seems to me that a lot of times our response back to him is lifeless, almost cold. And I'm not standing up here to talk down to us or even to myself or my home or my family. I'm here to cheer us on in this experiment we're conducting. But I just have to be honest about this observation. I think I see a lot of times people responding to God just kind of with our hands in our pockets. Like, yeah, God loves me. God changed my life. I know for a lot of us here this morning, this is all brand new. You're taking a big risk just in being in church on a Sunday morning. I know so many stories where people walked away from the church, you've been burned, you've been hurt, you've seen people elevated rather than God, you've seen hypocrisy, and maybe you've tried God just on your own, away from the church. But I'm just glad you're here, just giving this a try. For the rest of us who have become convinced about Jesus Christ and what he's done for us, I just have to say it, just as I've been honest with myself at times, that sometimes it seems our response back to him, which should be our worship, is just kind of cold. Just kind of lifeless, like, yeah, God's awesome. What's for dinner? Now, I know we all express affection differently. God made us different in this way. You know, when somebody offers me to hold a baby, I like babies. I do. I like them. But, man, Amy's response is so different than mine. Amy's just like, give it to me. And she's doing all this stuff, and, you know, and I'm afraid he's going to puke on me, or he's going to poop while I'm holding him, or, and when it comes to boyfriends or girlfriends, we can all think back. Some of us are very out in the open. Some are a little more private. Some are reserved,